swept up in today's independent music.
Yeah. And so how did you get into because the book is sort of, so it's a folk fictional story, music, and sort of self-help as well, right?
Mm,
So like, how did you dig into that avenue to create this project, or was that for marketing purposes, or is that like, because you also do public speaking, right, and whatnot? I
here
assume
and
in the
there.
health self-help region.
That's correct. Yeah, here and there. I mean, it was easier to do the public speaking before lockdown happened, obviously, and
Yeah.
coronavirus came along and unexpectedly hit us in the face. But the fact is, um, when I moved back to the UK in 2016, I found myself on Google one night about, I don't know, a month into my new job. I'm giving a horrible picture of capitalism here, but there we go. I found myself Googling, should I quit my job? So I thought, I'd originally thought this is great. I'm going to come back to the UK. I've got a good paying job. I'm going to have a good life, but there was still something missing. I still,
Hmm.
thought, well, what about the music? What about my creative side? And yeah, so I googled, should I quit my job? And I found this worldwide Facebook group that was bigger then than it is now, because it's petered out unfortunately a little bit over the years. But it's called Live Your Legend, and there's a group in Toronto actually called Live Your Legend. Whether there was ever one in Ontario, I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm talking. Let me get this right. Toronto is in Ontario, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll correct that then. Whether there was ever another one in Ontario is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
it,
But
it's
yeah,
just the most populated part of Ontario. That's all.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like the London group, as I say, I live an hour away from London. The Toronto Live Your Legend group is still going, by a thread, granted, but it's still got a dedicated core of about half a dozen people around it. So
Yeah,
anyway, I thought, well, sod this, as we say in in England, I'll jump on the train and I'll head to London. And I started attending the monthly meetings, and the idea is, the motto behind Live Your Legend is, try and find and do the work that you love. The whole thing started in America with a guy who was once in a similar situation to me, a guy called Scott Dinsmore. Um, and yeah, it just spread out worldwide and, infected various parts of the world, shall we say. And so I started attending the London meetings, and eventually the lady running it said she needed some help. And out of everyone in the room, the one guy who didn't live in London put his hand up and said, "I'll help." And so that was
yeah,
how I got into, the self-help side of things. Asking people, what is it I care about music and writing. What do you care about? What would you do with your day, whether you were paid to do it or whether you weren't? And why? And what difference do you think you could make to the world in that respect? And that was my avenue into the area of self-help. And then eventually the lady who was running it left, so I became, the sort of unofficial head of the London movement, even though I didn't live in London.
yeah,
And I did it for the people who cared. Sometimes we'd only get 3, 4 people turning up to the meetings, but we've got that dedicated core in London of 3 or 4 people. So not quite as big as in Toronto, but it's there. And yeah, that was my foray into sort of talking to groups, public speaking a little bit.
yeah,
And that was why I put that in the end of the book, because I wanted to try and you know not just write the book for me and to indulge my love of music and of writing, but to try and help other people, um, because life is bigger than just me. It's not just about me. It's about the impact I make on the world. It's about whether I can help someone else. If people tell you that your music or your output has helped them, that's a great feeling. I've been told that
yeah,
a few times. So um, yeah, there was that, and I also thought that putting the self-help element in at the end might actually help to, give the book a little bit more marketing appeal, to take it away from just, oh, some dude's written a novel, to some guy's written a novel and he wants to help me, kind of thing.
yeah.
So yeah, there we go.
Right on. Um, so in terms of like, and has that made a, if you don't have to obviously answer this question, but has that made an exceptional difference in terms of marketing the book, where people are far more interested in the fact that you've got something more to offer than just like, hey, I like music and this is something I wrote about it?
Well, how much of a difference it's made in terms of sales, I can't honestly say yet because it's still early days. And I'm drip feeding. Basically, the self-help bit at the end is built around a course, which the first module is for free, but then after that, if people want the rest of it, then they have to pay. Although I won't charge the arse off of them. Um, you know, there are varying prices for courses out there, but mine will be pretty reasonable. Probably in the ballpark figure of around 150 quid for the whole thing, I
Yeah.
think. But I'm drip feeding is mainly video content. I'm drip feeding that online bit by bit, and
Yeah, you have 3 episodes on YouTube now, is it?
correct,
Understand?
yeah. That, and then I've got to put one more on there, and then that's module one. That's the the free module, and then I've got to get to doing the rest. I should possibly ask someone for help at some point because I'm churning it out quite slowly. But I am getting there, and the main thing is I haven't had anyone who's contacted me yet and said, you know, hey, where's this course you promised? I'm annoyed, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I need to do a bit more work on it. But you know, once I've finalised it and it's out there and it all looks professional, and you know, hopefully I'll start to get a sale or two. That's when I can say more about whether people seem to be going for that side of it or whether they just seem to be going purely for the novel side of it.
Yeah.
But I thought that it, as I say, that it would be an extra way to try and get through to people, you know, rather than just having a novel. Whether I'll do it when I write my next novel remains to be seen. You know, it depends on what my next novel will be about. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so currently, as I say, I've got to get the rest of the course up there and make that one of my priorities. But we'll see what happens.
And the book's only been out for just about a month now, eh? Is that?
Exactly, less than that actually. It's been out for
Yeah.
just over 3 weeks, you know.
Oh, there you go.
So I don't think people. A couple of people have finished it so far. One friend of mine left a very nice review on Amazon, which is always nice to get your first review.
Yeah.
But yeah, people for the most part are still in the stages of reading it. So yeah, it gives me a little bit more time, but I need to crack on.
In addition to doing all the heavy lifting for the video production, are you working on new music as well?
Um, well, given the fact that I've been driving the book a lot lately, pushing the book a lot lately, that writing new music has admittedly taken something of a back seat. But I have got one or two new pieces that I've composed. There's a mandolin piece I've written. It's going to be the final song that I play for the Creative Cafe on Saturday.
Nice.
I'm going to be playing a simple acoustic version of that. I wrote that not so long ago. It's probably, I think it's a couple of months old. And I've got ideas for more songs. I'm never short of ideas when it comes to music. It's just that, you know, with the fact that I put a lot of time, effort, and money into writing the book, that's where the bulk of my concentration's going to be going in terms of marketing efforts.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, for the next certain amount of time. But, you know, that's why I'm grateful for the Creative Cafe because, you know, those guys at Cody and, you know, everybody, they're keeping me in touch with
Yeah.
with music, with, you know, picking my guitar up and playing it and remembering why I wrote a novel about music. You know, it's not just about you gotta walk the walk, not just talk the walk kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. And have you thought about now having got this book out, have you thought about doing a sort of punk, folky bit of music as well? Just whether or not it goes along with the book, but just since you've been delving into characters who write that kind of music.
Interestingly enough, I have. It has crossed my mind because I mentioned this earlier, touched upon it briefly, but my wife and I are in the process of moving to Glasgow, basically.
Yeah.
It's effectively been confirmed by both of our employers now. So if people officially start to find, I mean, a lot of our friends and family know anyway, but if people officially start to find out, then it doesn't matter so much. We're not going to have angry employers lining up at our door saying, what's this, you're moving, are you? They seem to be cool with us working remotely. But yeah,
Yeah.
when I get to Glasgow, which being in Scotland is a better base for folk music than down in the deepest southeast of England, and Glasgow's about 5 times bigger than the place I live in currently anyway. It has crossed my mind to start my own folk band there, you know, and make it a little bit folk punky, you know, where I can
Yeah.
exactly how loud it would be, I don't know, but you know, I have in my mind flirted with the idea of picking up an electric guitar, you know, hiring some other people to play, you know, the backup instruments, whether it's the rock instruments or whether it's, you know, the more folky stuff like tin whistle, mandolin, whatever, you
Yeah.
know, and starting a band that's a bit like the Mahones or, you know, Flogging Molly or whatever, and just kicking the audience in the face and saying, here, listen to this. And I've got, some ideas that would work well with that format. I'd probably need to take singing lessons, though, because I'm not really a rock singer. And the one thing I'd really need to sharpen would be my voice, because it's fine for acoustic singing, but if I'm going to sing with a bit of that rough growl in my voice, then I'm not ready to do that vocally yet. But yeah, to answer your question, it has crossed my mind.
Cool. I don't know if you need to find someone else to play the tin whistle. You seem to do a pretty damn good job of yourself. I know you said before in previous discussion online that you're like, well, I can get by with it, but it sounds fucking good to me.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
that could be my ignorance of tin whistle.
Yeah. I taught myself to play the tin. By no means at all. An Irish person would absolutely what's the word, wipe the floor with me. They'd play me under the table, basically. If you put me next to like one standout example is they have the All Ireland Championships on the tin whistle and the flute and everything that take place in 1984. I think it was an 18-year-old woman called Joni Madden from America, who barely anyone had ever heard of, turned up, and she became, I think, not only the first American to win both the tin whistle and the flute All Ireland Championships, but the first woman to do so as well. And people are like, who the hell is this 18-year-old genius, But if you put her in like a room with me and I said, okay, Joni, I'm going to play some tin whistle, she'd probably be standing there. She'd be nice about it, but she'd probably be like, yeah, Andy, you really need to improve, dude.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So I can't play like Joni Madden. I wish I could. Yeah, she's an absolute legend.
Well, there's always someone you're going to find. But I'm not saying like therefore you're a virtuoso at it, but like, I mean, you're always going to find someone who's better at a thing you do.
Of course, yeah. I can play, if you want though, I can play you a little bit of tin, just a quick example for what I'm going to play at the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just put that over there. Get rid of these as well. Yeah, so this is a B-flat whistle. It's a nice, shiny, colourful one that, unlike some, doesn't make too much of a squeaky noise. But I'll give you a bit. Something like this. Okay.
Yeah. Marlo's also clapping.
That was self-written as well. I can say that.
Oh, nice. As soon as you started playing, Marla looked up at me with a big smile on her face. So.
Oh, thank you. I can't see you there, Marla, but I'm looking forward to your guys' set at the weekend. Nice to meet you.
Swept Media. Get swept up in today's independent